My hands are 72 years old, and tonight they're trembling over a glass of Merlot I didn't order. The concierge insisted, said I deserved a place where nobody would bother me. I think he meant it kindly, but there's something about that word, bother, that stings like a paper cut you don't notice until you're bleeding. I'm sitting in the private lounge of a boutique hotel in London, the kind of place where the leather seats cost more than my first car, and the lighting is dim enough to forgive everyone's secrets. I didn't plan to be here. I planned to walk back to my rented flat after dinner, brew chamomile tea, and fall asleep to a detective series I've watched 3 times already. That's what 72 looks like now. Predictable, safe, invisible. 7 years since the divorce. 7 years since Michael looked at me across the breakfast table and said, with the casualness of someone asking for the salt, "I think we're done, aren't we?" And I nodded, because he was right. We'd been done for a decade, maybe longer. We'd just been too tired, too comfortable, too scared to admit it. The children think they know what's best for me. Emma calls every Sunday with updates about her spinning class and subtle hints that I should join the Senior Center Book Club. Thomas sends links to Mediterranean cruises designed for active retirees, as if the word active makes aging sound like an adventure rather than a slow disappearance. They mean well. They love me. But they see me as someone who needs managing, protecting, gently steering toward approved activities for women of a certain age. I take a sip of wine. It's good. Too good. The kind of wine that makes you aware of your own tongue, your own throat. I haven't felt aware of my body in a pleasant way for so long. I can't remember when it started. The numbness, the sense that I'm just a mind dragging around an increasingly irrelevant shell. The lounge is nearly empty. A couple in the corner speaking in hushed French, their knees touching under the table. A businessman scrolling through his phone with the glazed expression of someone who stopped caring 3 cities ago. And then he walks in. 28, maybe 30 at most. Linen shirt. The top 3 buttons undone in that careless way that only young men can pull off without looking like they're trying. Dark hair slightly too long, curling at his collar. And that face. Not classically handsome, but alive. That's the word that comes to me. Alive in a way that makes everyone else in the room look like watercolor paintings left out in the rain. He glances around, and for a split second, his eyes land on me. I expect them to slide away, the way men's eyes have slid away from me for the past decade. But they don't. They hold, just for a moment, just long enough for something small and unexpected to flutter in my chest. I look down at my wine, suddenly fascinated by the way it catches the light. I hear footsteps, soft, deliberate, coming closer. When I glance up, he's standing beside my table, not hovering, not leering, just standing. Like he has every right to be there, like the space beside me has been waiting for him. "Can I keep you company?" he says, voice low and unhurried. "Or would you rather stay alone with your thoughts?" I should say no. I should smile politely, the way well-bred women my age are taught to smile, and tell him I'm fine, thank you, enjoy your evening. But instead I hear myself say, I'm not sure I know the difference anymore. His smile is slow, knowing, not predatory, just interested. Then, "Maybe it's time someone helped you figure it out," he says. And without waiting for permission, he pulls out the chair across from me and sits down. And just like that, the evening stops being predictable. His name is Daniel. He tells me this after ordering himself a whiskey and asking if I'd like another glass of wine without making it sound like charity. I say yes before I can think better of it. "So," he says, leaning back in his chair with an ease I envy. "What brings a woman to a hotel lounge at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night, drinking excellent wine and looking like she's trying to solve the world's most complicated equation?" I laugh. It surprises me, the sound of it. Is that what I look like? That, or someone who's about to make a very interesting decision. He takes a sip of his whiskey, watching me over the rim of the glass. I'm hoping it's the second one. I should be offended. I should recognize this as a line, smooth and practiced. But there's something in his eyes, not hunger exactly, more like genuine curiosity, that makes me pause. I'm divorced, I hear myself say. God, why did I say that? 7 years now. My children think I should take up watercolor painting or join a walking group. Something wholesome and age-appropriate. Age-appropriate, he repeats, like he's tasting the words and finding them bitter. What does that even mean? It means not sitting in expensive hotel lounges with strange men who are young enough to be my... I stop myself, but we both know how that sentence ends. Your grandson? He finishes, and there's no mockery in his voice. Is that what you were going to say? I nod, feeling heat creep up my neck. Not the good kind of heat. The kind that comes with shame. He leans forward then, elbows on the table, and his voice drops to something more intimate. Can I tell you something? Age is the most boring reason not to want someone. It's lazy thinking. Like saying you don't like art because the frame is old. That's a pretty analogy. It's not an analogy. It's just true. He holds my gaze. You know what I noticed when you walked in here earlier? The way you move. Careful, but not timid. Like you know exactly where you're going, but you've stopped expecting anyone to notice. That's what caught my eye. Not your age, your presence. My throat tightens. When was the last time someone spoke to me this way? When was the last time someone looked at me and saw more than a polite smile and a sensible cardigan? You're very good at this, I say quietly. At what? Making women feel seen. I'm not trying to make you feel anything, he says. I'm just telling you what I see. And I see someone who's been living like a ghost in her own life for so long. She's forgotten she still has a body that feels things. The words hit me like cold water. I want to argue, to tell him he's wrong, presumptuous, arrogant. But I can't, because he's right. I have been living like a ghost. I wear opaque tights, I say suddenly, and I don't know why I'm telling him this. Even in summer. I haven't let anyone see my bare legs in 15 years. Not even the pool attendant when I swim laps at the community center. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't look away. He just tilts his head slightly, considering me with an intensity that makes my pulse quicken. Why? He asks simply. Because they're old. Because the skin is loose and the veins show, and society has very clear opinions about what 72-year-old legs should look like. And the answer is covered. Society, he says, can go to hell. I blink at him. I'm serious. Society also thinks a 28-year-old man should be chasing women his own age at nightclubs, not sitting in a hotel lounge talking to someone who remembers when Queen Elizabeth was still young. But here I am, and here you are, and I think... He pauses, and for the first time I see something vulnerable flicker across his face. I think you're the most interesting person I have met in months, maybe longer. My heart is doing something strange, galloping, like it's trying to escape my chest and prove to both of us that it still works, that it still remembers how to respond to desire. You don't even know me, I whisper. Not yet, he says, "but I'd like to." We sit there in silence for a moment. The French couple has left. The businessman is gone. It's just us now, and the low hum of jazz playing somewhere in the background, and the sound of my own breathing, which suddenly seems too loud. "What do you want from me?" I ask finally, because I need to know. I need to understand what this is before I do something I can't take back. Daniel finishes his whiskey, sets the glass down with deliberate care, and looks at me with eyes that seem to see straight through every defense I've built over 7 decades. "I want to know what happens," he says, "when you stop hiding." And in that moment, sitting in that amber-lit lounge with a man young enough to be my son, I feel something I haven't felt in years. I feel brave. We start meeting for coffee. That's how it begins, innocently enough that I can justify it to myself. Tuesday mornings at a cafe near Covent Garden. Thursday afternoons in a bookshop with a tea counter in the back. Saturday evenings that stretch long into the night, talking about everything and nothing. He tells me about his work, something in finance that makes him travel constantly, living in hotels, never quite belonging anywhere. I tell him about my garden back home, the roses I've been cultivating for 20 years, how each one has a name and a personality. He doesn't find this strange. He asks me which one is my favorite and why. "The Abraham Derby," I say. "It's an apricot-colored English rose. Blooms even when you think it's done for the season. Resilient. Like you," he says. And I laugh because I haven't felt resilient in years. But maybe that's changing. Emma calls one Tuesday while Daniel and I are sharing a slice of lemon cake. His fork occasionally stealing bites from my side of the plate. I see her name flash on my phone, and my stomach clenches with an old, familiar guilt. "I should take this?" I tell him. "Of course," he says, and there's no judgment in his voice. I step outside into the October chill. "Hello, darling." "Mum. Finally. I've been trying to reach you all week." Emma's voice has that edge to it, the one that means she's been worrying, which means she's been imagining worst-case scenarios. "Are you all right? You sound different. Different how?" "I don't know. Lighter? Are you taking those vitamin supplements I sent?" I almost laugh. "Yes, Emma. It's definitely the B12. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Actually, I'm wonderful. London suits me." There's a pause. "You're still in London? I thought you were only staying a week." 3 weeks now. 3 weeks of coffee and conversation, and the slow, terrifying thrill of being seen again. I extended my trip. The flat rental was reasonable, and I'm enjoying myself. "By yourself?" Emma asks, and there's something in her tone, concern mixed with suspicion. "Mostly," I say, and it's not quite a lie. When I return to the table, Daniel is reading something on his phone, but he looks up immediately when I sit down. "Everything okay?" My daughter thinks I'm acting strange. "Are you?" I consider this. Strange compared to what? To the version of myself who spent 7 years moving through the motions, existing rather than living? "Yes," I admit. "I suppose I am." He reaches across the table and takes my hand. Not romantically. Or not only romantically. It's something deeper. A gesture of solidarity. His thumb traces small circles on my palm, and I realize with a start that I can't remember the last time someone touched me with such deliberate tenderness. "Good," he says simply. That evening, he walks me back to my flat. It's raining lightly, that soft London rain that feels more like mist than water. He offers me his jacket, and I refuse. And we argue about it playfully until we're both laughing, half soaked, standing under the awning of a closed flower shop. I have a confession, Daniel says, rain dripping from his hair onto his collar. I haven't been entirely honest with you. My heart stops. Here it comes, I think. The reveal, the catch, the moment when this beautiful, impossible thing turns into something ordinary and disappointing. I told you I found you interesting, he continues. And that's true, but it's not the whole truth. What's the whole truth? I ask, barely breathing. He steps closer, close enough that I can smell the rain on his skin, the faint cedar of his cologne. The whole truth is that I think about you constantly. I wake up wondering what you're doing. I go to sleep remembering something you said that made me laugh. And I know this is complicated. I know the world will have opinions, but I don't care about any of that. Daniel, I'm not finished. His voice is gentle but firm. I care about what you want, what you feel, whether you're brave enough to let this be whatever it's going to be, because I am. I'm brave enough for both of us if I need to be. The rain falls harder now, drumming on the awning above us. Somewhere in the distance, a car horn honks. The city moves on, indifferent to this small, significant moment. I think about Emma's voice on the phone, about Thomas and his approved activities, about the senior center book club and the Mediterranean cruises and the careful, constructed life everyone expects me to live. And then I think about Daniel's hand on mine, the way he looks at me like I'm not 72, but simply myself, complex and flawed, and still capable of mattering. I'm scared, I whisper. I know, he says. But what if we're scared together? I don't answer with words. Instead, I reach up and touch his face, feeling the slight stubble on his jaw, the warmth of his skin despite the rain. He closes his eyes at the contact, like my touch is something sacred. And in that moment, I stop being afraid. He starts leaving small gifts at my flat, not flowers. He says flowers are too obvious, too easy. Instead, I find a vintage book of Mary Oliver poems with a passage underlined. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? A small watercolor painting of a rose that looks remarkably like my Abraham Darby. A playlist on a USB drive labeled, "For When You Forget You're Allowed to Dance." I play it one afternoon while making tea. It's jazz mostly. Some Ella Fitzgerald, some Billie Holiday, and one song I don't recognize. Something French and achingly beautiful. Before I know it, I'm swaying in my small kitchen, tea forgotten, tears streaming down my face for reasons I can't quite name. When I see him next, I try to thank him, but he waves it away. I just wanted you to remember, he says. Remember what? That you're someone worth creating beauty for. We're in his hotel room now, not the lounge this time. His actual room, a suite on the 8th floor with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Thames. He ordered room service, oysters and champagne, which feels ridiculous and perfect at the same time. I've never eaten oysters, I admit, looking at the glistening shells with suspicion. Never? He seems genuinely shocked. Michael thought they were pretentious, said they tasted like seawater and snobbery. Daniel picks up one shell, tilts it toward me. Michael was wrong about a lot of things, I suspect. I let him feed it to me, the cold, slippery flesh sliding onto my tongue, the burst of brine and mineral and something else. Something alive. I swallow, and he watches my face intently. Well, it tastes, I say slowly, like taking a risk. He laughs, delighted. That's the best description I've ever heard. We talk for hours. He tells me about growing up in Manchester, about his mother who died when he was 19, about feeling like he spent his 20s chasing success without ever understanding what it was for. I tell him about the early years of my marriage, when Michael and I were still curious about each other before we calcified into routine, about the dreams I had of becoming a landscape architect, but set aside when Emma was born. You could still do it, Daniel says. Study it, I mean. You have time. I'm 72. Exactly. You have time. Unless you're planning to die next Tuesday, in which case we should probably make different plans. I throw an oyster shell at him. He dodges it, grinning. But then the mood shifts. He moves from his chair to the sofa where I'm sitting, close enough that our knees touch. He takes my hand again, but this time the touch feels different, charged with something we've both been avoiding naming. I want to ask you something, he says quietly. And you can say no. You can leave right now if you want, and we'll pretend I never asked. My heart is racing. What is it? Let me see you, he says. Really see you. The parts you've been hiding. I know what he means. My breath catches. Daniel, No pressure, he interrupts gently. But I meant what I said in the rain, about not caring what the world thinks. And that includes not caring about opaque tights and what 72-year-old legs are supposed to look like. I look down at my lap, at my hands twisted together, at the dark stockings covering my legs like armor. I think about 15 years of hiding, of shame, of believing that my body had become something that needed concealing. I have varicose veins, I whisper, and age spots, and the skin is loose and you're human, he says. You're a human woman who's lived a full life and your body tells that story. Why would I want anything else? The sincerity in his voice undoes something in me. Slowly, feeling like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, I reach down and begin to roll down my stockings. My hands shake. He notices. We can stop, he says immediately. Anytime you want. But I don't want to stop. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I don't want to hide. I remove the stockings completely and sit there, bare-legged, feeling more exposed than I've felt since before Michael, before children, before I learned all the ways a woman is supposed to diminish herself with age. Daniel looks at my legs, not with pity, not with polite indifference, with something that looks like reverence. Beautiful, he murmurs. They're not. They're yours, he interrupts. They've carried you through 7 decades. They've walked through joy and grief and everything in between. How could they be anything but beautiful? He reaches out, hesitates, waits for my permission. I nod, barely breathing. His hand touches my knee, then moves slowly, reverently, down to my ankle and back up. The sensation is overwhelming. Not sexual exactly, though there's desire in it. It's more like being reclaimed, like every inch of skin he touches is being brought back to life after a long, cold sleep. Tell me to stop if you want me to stop, he says. But I don't want him to stop. I want this. I want to be seen. I want to matter in my own body again. Don't stop, I whisper. And he doesn't. Thomas shows up unannounced on a Thursday morning. I hear the buzzer and assume it's the grocer delivering my weekly order. Instead, when I open the door, my son is standing there with his weekend bag and his concerned father expression, the one he's been perfecting since he turned 40. Mom, he says, not quite managing to hide the relief in his voice. Thank God you're all right. Why wouldn't I be all right? I'm still in my dressing gown, my hair uncombed. Daniel left only 2 hours ago. and I can still smell his cologne on my skin. Thomas walks in without invitation, scanning the flat like he's searching for evidence of a crime. Emma's been worried. You've been in London for over a month now, dodging phone calls, being vague about what you're doing. We thought... He stops, seeming to reconsider his words. We just wanted to make sure you're okay. So you flew from Edinburgh to check on me? I close the door, feeling cornered in my own rented space. I had business in London anyway. He's lying. I can always tell when my children lie. They get this particular tightness around their eyes. Mum, what's going on? This isn't like you. What isn't like me? I want to ask. Being happy? Feeling alive? But instead I say, would you like tea? We sit at the small kitchen table, the same one where Daniel and I ate breakfast this morning, laughing over burnt toast and marmalade. Now it feels contaminated by Thomas's worry, his judgment that hasn't even been spoken yet but hangs in the air like smoke. You look different, Thomas says carefully, studying my face. Younger somehow. Are you seeing someone? The question lands like a stone in still water. I watch the ripples spread. What if I am? Thomas sets down his teacup with too much force. Mum, you're 72 years old. I'm aware of my age, Thomas. I was there for all 72 years. I just mean... He runs a hand through his thinning hair, a gesture he inherited from his father. After Dad, we thought you'd want to take it easy, enjoy your retirement, not complicate things. Complicate things with what? With living? With a relationship that... He stops himself, but I know where that sentence was going. That what? That doesn't fit your idea of what a woman my age should be doing. The anger surprises me. I haven't been angry in so long. I'd forgotten what it felt like. Tell me, Thomas, what exactly is the acceptable timeline for my life? Should I have given up on happiness after 60, 65? Or was it the moment your father left that I was supposed to become someone who only exists in relation to you and Emma? That's not fair, isn't it? I lean forward, and my voice is steady now, certain. You and your sister have spent 7 years trying to manage me. Gentle suggestions about activities, links to cruise ships and book clubs. As if I'm a problem that needs solving, rather than a person who's still capable of making her own choices. Thomas looks wounded. Good. Maybe he should be. We just don't want you to get hurt, he says quietly. I've been hurt before. I survived. And you know what's worse than being hurt? Being numb. Being so careful and safe that you stop feeling anything at all. We sit in silence. Outside, London moves on. Black cabs honking, tourists laughing. Life continuing in all its messy, complicated glory. Is it serious? Thomas asks finally. This person you're seeing? I think about Daniel's hands on my legs. The way he looks at me like I'm still someone worth discovering. The small gifts and the long conversations and the feeling of being wanted again. Not as a mother or ex-wife or grandmother, but as myself. I don't know, I admit. Maybe. Maybe not. But it's mine, Thomas. This thing, whatever it is, it's mine. My son nods slowly, though I can see the struggle on his face. He wants to protect me. He wants to fix this. But he's beginning to understand there's nothing to fix. How old is he? Thomas asks. Does it matter? Mum. 28! The silence that follows is deafening. Thomas stares at me like I've just announced I'm joining the circus. 28! He repeats. Mum, that's younger than me. I know. People will... He stops, shakes his head. You know what people will say. Yes, I say simply. I know exactly what people will say. And for the first time in my life, I don't care. But that's not quite true. Later, after Thomas leaves, promising to call Emma to tell her I'm fine, whatever that means, I sit alone in the flat and feel the weight of his judgment settling over me like dust. I think about the looks we'll get if Daniel and I go public. The whispers, the assumptions. Gold digger, they'll say about him. Desperate, they'll say about me. Pathetic, embarrassing. Mutton dressed as lamb. My phone buzzes. It's Daniel. Missing you already. Dinner tonight? I stare at the message for a long time. My thumbs hover over the keyboard. It would be so easy to end this now. To text back some excuse. To let it fade gently into a beautiful memory I could keep private and safe. No judgment, no complications, no risk. But then I remember the feeling of his hands on my skin, the way I laughed in my kitchen dancing to jazz, the oysters that tasted like taking a risk. I type, yes, pick me up at 7. But as I press send, I feel something crack inside me. Not quite breaking, but definitely fracturing. The world has intruded, and I'm not sure I'm brave enough to keep it out. Dinner is at a small Italian restaurant in Notting Hill. Daniel chose it because it's quiet, intimate, the kind of place where people mind their own business. But tonight, I'm aware of every glance, every whisper. A couple at the next table looks at us twice. The waiter's eyes linger a moment too long, calculating the distance between Daniel's youth and my age. You're quiet, Daniel says, reaching across the table for my hand. I pull it back before he can touch me. Not cruelly, but definitely. I see the confusion flash across his face. My son came to visit today, I say, arranging my napkin in my lap with too much precision. That's nice. I'd love to meet him sometime. No, Daniel, you wouldn't. The words come out harsher than I intended. He came because he's worried, because his 72-year-old mother is acting strangely, because she's in London with a man young enough to be... Don't! Daniel interrupts, his voice sharp for the first time since I've known him. Don't do that. Don't reduce this to an age gap. But that's what it is, isn't it? I'm whispering now, but the words feel violent anyway. I've been lying to myself, pretending this could be something normal, something sustainable, but it's not. We're not. Says who? Says everyone. I'm aware my voice has risen. The couple at the next table is definitely watching now. I lower my volume, but not my intensity. Says my children, who think I'm having some kind of breakdown. Says society, which has very clear opinions about women my age and what we're allowed to want. Says biology and common sense and... Says you. Daniel finishes quietly. You're the one saying it, not them. He's right. I hate that he's right. What do you want from this? I ask, and my voice breaks on the last word. Really, Daniel? What do you want? Because I need to understand. Are you trying to save me? Fix me? Is this some kind of experiment in unconventional attraction? Because I can't... I stop, swallowing hard. I can't be someone's midlife crisis solution when I'm already past my midlife. Daniel sits back, and I watch something in his expression shift from hurt to anger to something sadder. Disappointment, maybe. Or recognition that I'm sabotaging this on purpose. You think I don't know what people say? He asks. You think I haven't considered every judgment, every assumption? Of course I have. And I decided it doesn't matter, because what I feel when I'm with you matters more. What do you feel? I challenge, Honestly, I feel seen, he says simply. I feel like I can finally stop performing and just exist. You don't need me to be successful or charming or anything other than honest. You've already lived enough life that you can spot bullshit a mile away. And that makes me want to be real with you in ways I've never been with anyone else. That's not desire, Daniel. That's therapy. Don't be cruel, he says, and there's real pain in his voice now. Don't belittle what we have because you're scared. I'm not scared. You're terrified. He leans forward and his eyes are intense, pleading. You're terrified that this might be real, that you might actually deserve to be happy, that your body, exactly as it is right now, might be worthy of desire and tenderness and passion. So you're looking for reasons to run. The truth of this hits me like a physical blow. Because he's right. I've been collecting reasons to end this since the moment Thomas walked into my flat. No, longer than that. Since the first night in the hotel lounge, I've been waiting for the trap, the catch, the inevitable disappointment. I don't know how to do this, I whisper. I don't know how to be brave enough. Then let me be brave for both of us, Daniel says. I told you that in the rain, remember? I meant it. But that's the problem, isn't it? I've spent my whole life being protected, managed, guided by other people's ideas of what's good for me. Michael making decisions about our life together, the children with their gentle suggestions. Even now, Daniel offering to be brave for me. I need to think, I say, standing up abruptly. I'm sorry. I need to go. I leave before he can protest, before I can see the hurt on his face, before I have to witness what my cowardice does to someone who's been nothing but honest with me. Outside, the October night is cold and clear. I walk without direction, past pubs spilling warm light and laughter onto the pavement, past couples holding hands, past my own reflection in shop windows. A woman who looks lost because she is. I think about the Abraham Darby rose in my garden at home. How it blooms even when you think it's done for the season. How resilient it is. But I don't feel resilient tonight. I feel brittle, like one more crack, and I'll shatter completely. My phone rings. It's Daniel. I don't answer. He texts. I love you. I know it's too soon, and I know you don't want to hear it. But I do. And that's not going to change because you're scared. I read the message 3 times. 4, 5, and then I turn off my phone and walk back to my flat alone, feeling like I've just made the worst mistake of my life, but unable to figure out how to undo it. I don't sleep that night. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment. Thomas's worried face, the couple at the restaurant watching us, Daniel's text message that I've read so many times I have it memorized. I love you. 3 words that should feel like a gift, but instead feel like a weight I don't know how to carry. At 3 in the morning, I get up and make tea. The ritual soothes me. Boiling water, the familiar ceramic mug, the steam rising in the quiet darkness. I sit at the kitchen table where Daniel and I have shared so many breakfasts, and I force myself to ask the question I've been avoiding. What do I want? Not what Thomas wants, not what Emma expects, not what society deems appropriate for a 72-year-old woman. What do I want? The answer comes quickly, which surprises me. I want to feel alive. I want to be seen. I want to stop apologizing for still having desire, still having a body that responds to touch, still having a heart that can break and heal and break again. I want Daniel. But wanting isn't the same as being brave enough to choose. I think about Michael, about the slow death of our marriage. Not dramatic, just a gradual fading until we were two polite strangers sharing a house. I think about the 7 years since, the careful construction of a life that asked nothing of me and gave nothing back, safe, predictable, empty. And then I think about Daniel's hands on my legs, the way he looked at my varicose veins and age spots like they were a map worth exploring. The oysters that tasted like taking a risk. The dancing in my kitchen. The way I laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in years. By the time the sun rises, I've made my decision. I shower, dress carefully. Not to hide myself, but to honor myself. A navy dress that Emma bought me last Christmas. Still with the tags on because I thought it was too young, too bold. I take off the opaque tights and put on sheer stockings instead. I look at myself in the mirror and see a woman who's terrified, but doing it anyway. At 8 o'clock, I'm standing outside Daniel's hotel. My hands are shaking. I almost turn around 3 times before I finally walk through the revolving doors. The woman at reception recognizes me. "Good morning, madam. Shall I ring Mr. Carver's room?" "Please. The phone conversation is brief." "He says you can go up," she tells me, handing me a keycard. "8th floor, suite 804. The elevator ride feels endless. Each floor that passes is another chance to change my mind, to run, to choose safety over risk. But I don't. I keep my finger pressed on the button for the 8th floor, and I breathe. When I knock on his door, there's a long pause, then it opens. Daniel looks like he hasn't slept either. His hair is disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed. He's wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, and he's never looked more beautiful to me. "Hi," I say, and my voice is barely a whisper. "Hi," he says back, not moving from the doorway. Protecting himself, maybe. Waiting to see why I'm here. "I'm sorry," I begin. "For last night. For running. For..." "Why are you here?" He interrupts, and his voice is careful, guarded. I take a breath. "Because you were right. I was terrified. I am terrified. But I realized something at 3 o'clock this morning while drinking terrible tea and feeling sorry for myself." "What's that?" "That I've spent my entire life being brave about the wrong things. Brave about staying in a dead marriage. Brave about not complaining. Brave about accepting that my life was over at 60, at 65, at 70. But I've never been brave about choosing joy, about choosing myself." Daniel's expression softens slightly, but he still doesn't move. "I don't know how this ends." I continue, and now the words are coming faster, more urgent. "I don't know if we have 6 months, or 6 years, or if this whole thing falls apart next Tuesday. I don't know how to navigate the judgment or the stares or my children's concern. But I know that when I'm with you, I feel like myself in a way I haven't felt in decades. And that's worth being brave for. What are you saying?" he asks, and I can hear the hope in his voice, fragile and tentative. "I'm saying I love you too," I tell him. "I'm saying I'm scared, but I'm choosing this anyway. I'm saying yes to whatever this is, for as long as it lasts." The relief on his face is immediate and overwhelming. He pulls me into the room, into his arms, and holds me so tightly I can barely breathe. I don't care. I wrap my arms around him and hold on just as tightly. "I thought I'd lost you," he murmurs into my hair. "You almost did," I admit. "I almost let fear win." He pulls back just enough to look at me, his hands framing my face. "And now?" "Now I'm choosing to be brave," I say, "even if my knees are shaking." He smiles, that slow, devastating smile that first caught my attention in the hotel lounge. "Then let's be brave together." And when he kisses me, it feels like jumping off a cliff, terrifying and exhilarating and exactly right. We spend the morning talking, really talking, about logistics and fears and what this means, about telling my children, eventually, when I'm ready, about the fact that he travels constantly and I have a life back home, about making this work, despite everything that seems designed to pull us apart. I don't have all the answers, Daniel admits, but I know I want to try. So do I tell him. And for the first time since Thomas showed up at my door, I feel certain, not fearless. I'm still scared, but certain that this fear is worth facing. I've been home for 3 weeks now, back to my cottage in the Cotswolds, back to my garden and my roses, and my carefully constructed life. But nothing is the same. The Abraham Derby is blooming, even though it's late October and it should be done for the season. I stand in front of it every morning with my coffee, and I smile because I understand now. Resilience isn't about enduring. It's about blooming anyway, against all reasonable expectations. Daniel calls every day, sometimes twice. We talk about nothing. What he had for breakfast, how my roses are doing, the book I'm reading, and we talk about everything. His fear that I'll change my mind, my fear that I'm not enough, how we're going to make this work across yet distance and judgment and all the practical impossibilities. Emma came to visit last weekend. I told her about Daniel over tea in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I danced alone to jazz music a month ago. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Mom, are you happy?" "Yes," I told her, terrified but happy. "Then that's what matters," she said, though I could see the struggle on her face. She's trying. They both are, Emma and Thomas. It's not easy for them, accepting that their mother is still a woman with desires and choices and a life that doesn't revolve around being their parent. But they're trying. That's more than I expected, more than I probably deserve after years of letting them manage me. Tonight, Daniel is coming here. It'll be the first time he's seen my life, my home, the garden I've poured 20 years into. I'm nervous, in a way I haven't been since I was a girl, preparing for her first date. I change clothes 3 times before settling on jeans and a soft cashmere sweater. I take off the opaque tights permanently stored in my drawer and put on regular stockings. Small victories. When his car pulls into the drive, my heart does that ridiculous galloping thing. I watch him get out. Dark jeans, leather jacket, that same slightly too long hair. And I think about how strange this is, how impossible, how wonderful. He knocks, and I open the door, and he looks at me like I'm the only thing in the world worth seeing. "Hi," he says. "Hi," I say back. And then he's inside, looking around at my life, the photos of my children and grandchildren, the books lining every wall, the worn sofa where I've read 1,000 novels. He stops in front of a picture of me from 20 years ago, at a garden party laughing at something Michael said. "You looked happy," he observes. I was, I admit. Then. But it's a different kind of happy now. Harder earned, more honest. He turns to me and his expression is serious. "Show me the garden?" I lead him outside into the fading autumn light. The air smells of earth and dying leaves and the last persistent roses. I show him each plant, telling him their names, their histories, which ones are difficult, and which ones thrive with almost no attention. When we reach the Abraham Derby, I stop. "This is the one," I say. "The one that blooms even when it shouldn't." Daniel touches one of the apricot petals, gentle and reverent. Then he touches my face with the same gentleness. "Like you," he says. And there, in my garden with the sun setting and the October chill settling in, he kisses me. Not desperately, not urgently, but with a kind of certainty that makes my knees weak. Later, we're in my living room, drinking wine and talking about his next trip. Dubai, then Singapore, then back to London. He wants me to come with him sometimes, when I can, when I'm ready. "I want to show you the world," he says. "I've seen a lot of it," I remind him. "Not with me," he counters. "Not like this." He's right. Everything is different now. New. Even things I thought I knew by heart. That night, after he's gone to the guest room, we're taking things slowly, mindful of what my children might think if they drop by unexpectedly. I lie in my bed and think about the past month, the hotel lounge, the oysters, the moment I removed my stockings, the flight from the restaurant, the choice to come back. And I think about something Daniel said earlier when we were in the garden. Age is just time survived. It's not a reason to stop living. I get up and walk to my bathroom. I look at myself in the mirror. Really look. At the lines around my eyes, the softness of my jaw, the gray in my hair that I've stopped dyeing. At 72 years of living written across my face and body. And for the first time in longer than I can remember, I don't see something that needs fixing or hiding. I see someone who's earned every line, every spot, every year. Someone who's survived loss and disappointment and the slow death of dreams. Someone who's brave enough to start over at 72. I see myself. Later, when I'm back in bed, I think about the question people will ask when they find out about Daniel and me. The question I've already asked myself 1,000 times. What does he see in you? But I'm starting to understand. He sees what I'm only now learning to see myself. A woman who's lived enough to know what matters, who's been hurt enough to value tenderness, who's old enough to recognize love when it shows up in an unlikely package. He sees someone worth choosing. And finally, terrifyingly, wonderfully. I'm starting to see that too. I fall asleep thinking about tomorrow, about showing Daniel the village, introducing him to the woman who runs the bookshop, maybe even running into one of the neighbors and facing their judgment head on. About being brave, not just in private moments, but in broad daylight. About living fully and messily and imperfectly for however many years I have left. Because Daniel was right about something else. Desire doesn't have an expiration date. Neither does joy. Neither does the right to be seen and wanted and loved. I'm 72 years old. My hands are trembling less now than they were 6 weeks ago. And last night, a man young enough to be my grandson told me he loved me, and I believe him. More importantly, I believe in myself, in my right to this happiness, in my courage to choose it, in my worthiness to receive it. The Abraham Derby will bloom again next season. So will I, and I can't wait to see what happens next.